What is up? Welcome to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs. Once again, I'm Kier, and this is Jason. And today we are doing a review for another Flickfair streaming film. And the film that we selected today will be called Guilt, which is about a 14-minute long film. It deals with basically a murder investigation at a police department. Basically, it's two officers interrogating a potential suspect of a murder of his boss, is the general gist of the film. So it's just said it's basically just three people basically in an interrogation room, and they're basically interviewing this young man who was an assistant of an individual that was he says was committed suicide, but the cops seem to believe that he may have had something to do or may have murdered him. And they basically just go through kind of a series of questioning about him and questioning about, like, you know, he came into some money and he was looking to leave town around that same time. And he had just gotten passed over for a promotion for another employee that had only been there for a year. And he's been basically working for this assistant for about 6 years, I believe. And so it was a very, very good conversation. I really liked the dialogue in it. I thought all the acting was really, really good. And I thought it was really, really interesting. You know, like I said, I really enjoyed the back and forth banter between the two parties. And I kind of like how it kind of wraps up to where you don't really quite know exactly, you know, whether this person was necessarily innocent or not, you know what I mean? But he basically sticks to his guns throughout the entire film. What was your thoughts and takes on it, Jason?
Yeah, I really enjoy it. Like you said, I like the kind of push pull of the dialogue and the way the tables kept switching. You know, and I really like the ambiguity as well. Like you said, it definitely kept me hanging on till the end. But I also like that there's it's not wrapped up with, you know, a pretty little bow at the end or anything like that. And the ending in general, I'm not going to say how it ends or anything like that, but I really like the ending surprised me, but it also kept it ambiguous, which I liked a lot too. So yeah, it was a really interesting little short film.
Yeah. I like I said, I kind of like the way that it wrapped up as well. Like I said, I don't want to go into too many spoilers about it because, you know, I prefer everyone go check it out on Flickfair and watch the film themselves or any other various sources that might be streaming on. But I really enjoyed it. I thought the acting was really good, and I always like those little close settings where it's just involved maybe two or three people and they're kind of having a back and forth banter. Obviously, you got to have really good actors in order for that situation to really come off well, because if one of the actors in that particular situation or role isn't up to snuff, then obviously it'll be quite evident and obvious in those situations. But I thought that they did a really good job, especially the investigators that were asking the questions. I thought they did really, really good because they were very sarcastic, and they're like questioning of him. You know what I mean? So there was very like sarcastic the way that they were like questioning him. Oh, really? So you want us to believe that, you know what I mean? And I really kind of enjoyed like the way that they kind of played off each other, the two investigators, you know, questioning this young man. And I thought it was interesting. So yeah, just a really, really fun short film, short and sweet, but it really drives it home like really quickly. And so you really get a general sense of exactly what was happening in just a very brief amount of time. In the 14 minutes, you kind of knew the entire basically story. You know, obviously I'm not going to go into the end, the end conclusion, but like I said, you understand the story, you understand kind of what transpired. It was either the boss basically committed suicide, or the person they're investigating, interrogating, murdered him basically. And so I thought it was a really interesting investigation.
Yeah, real time, single setting. You know, I love that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Well, we actually have the one of the actors in the film, one of the investigators, as well as he also wrote the film and produced it as well. And so we're gonna actually talk with him. And his name is Al. We're gonna bring him in now, and just kind of get some insight into, you know, his thoughts in the film and kind of, you know, how we got all the actors together and that good stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring him in now. Let's just take a few moments here, and then he'll be in here. And it actually froze up on us. So oh, there he is.
Oh no,
you there?
Yeah.
Oh, hello. Hi. Oh,
a little worried there for a second.
This is a surprise. I didn't know anyone was going to be here. Welcome to my home.
How you doing today? How's your day going?
Well.
Good, good. And you are out in New York, is that correct?
That's right. Yes, New
And
York.
that's where the film, I'm assuming, was shot as well.
Yes, it was actually shot out on Long Island at Hofstra University, which is my alma mater. And I still have some connections there, so I was able to get a room in a basement, like an all-purpose
Mhm.
room. And I was like, woohoo. So that helped with the production.
Absolutely. And so I assume you're an actor is and a writer.
Yeah, no, I've been an actor most of my life, and I think I'm finally starting to figure it out. It's been evading me, like what
Right.
it is, and I'm like, oh yes, it's that. It's pretend to be someone else. That's what they didn't tell me in acting school. They really tricked me. But spoiler alert about the film: Bruce Willis was dead through the entire thing.
Right, right.
Um, but yeah, so yeah, I've been an actor. I started out in theater like most actors did of my generation, and
Right.
it's only like the last, I guess, 5 or 6, 7 years that I've really solely focused on film and TV and voiceover. I do a lot of voiceover work, voice acting work, which I love
Uh,
to do, and I have a home studio, so I do a lot of recording from my home, which is great. And it's been with regards to writing. I've been writing like a long time, started out with bad poetry and then worked into bad prose and then graduated into bad screenplays. And so it took me a while to like figure out after many, 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 many screenplays and writing, finally I felt like confident enough to like think, hey, maybe I can actually produce this and do it. You grow up loving films. I'm sure you guys have. I mean,
absolutely.
my grandfather took me to movies when I was like could barely see over the seat in front of me in every movie. I saw Jaws when I was 6 years old. And yes, I still can't swim in the ocean. So, but I have this love of movies, and I always thought I'd love to make a movie, but I never did. I just wanted to act in them, and this was my first actual film that I actually sat down, wrote, produced, and said I'm gonna make this with the help of Casey Schlosser, who was the director,
Mhm.
who's a great guy, good friend, and he read the script and he's like, "Oh, I want to direct this," and I was like, "Really? Wow!" So that's how it sort of got its start.
Perfect. What was your inspiration for the story itself?
Like everything I write, some actors, some writers, they come up with like a line or a character. I just think of like, ooh, what if this happened? What if a what if a very powerful person was found dead in their office and there was only one other person there, this guy said it was a suicide. Maybe it wasn't a suicide. And then I thought, what if he was African American? How would that add a dynamic to it? Because
Mhm.
originally I wrote it for just anyone, and I actually had presented it to a friend of mine who was Caucasian, and I said, "Would you like to play this role?" And he goes, "This role would be a lot more interesting if the actor was black."
Right.
And I see what you mean. I said, but I don't want to make it, I don't want to be the white writer that writes about black people's problems.
Right.
In fact, I wrote a pilot called Frontin', which is based on Woody Allen's film The Front years ago. I don't know if any of you remember that movie, but it was a movie that took place during McCarthyism, and Woody Allen was this schlubby cashier, and a writer friend of his said, "Can you be my front?" Because he was blackballed.
Got it.
I wrote this story, this pilot, about a white writer who writes this series entirely about African American cast, and he can't get it produced, so he gets his black best friend to pretend that he wrote it
Got it. Got it.
and
No, no, no.
present
It's
it.
it's yeah, yeah. No, I completely understand that. It makes it a
Yeah,
little bit of a fine line, but it came off great. I think that the end result,
thanks.
the end product was phenomenal, and I
Thank
thought it
you.
was very tasteful. I thought it was a good series of dialogue, which Jason and I, we're big fans of dialogue as well. If it's done quite well, we it's always hard to find, like I said before you come on, with three people, it really you really everybody has to be kind of on point and in sync for it to really flow. And I felt like, especially the two investigators, because they were
Mm,
kind of playing off each other, in terms of, because they had all their bullet points and evidence that they had to basically kind of confront this gentleman that we think that you might have killed this guy. And they were giving like little pieces and things of that nature. And like, I love how sarcastically they were playing off each other. So I thought that was great. I thought that was it was great banter back and forth to watch them kind of like laugh and kind of sarcastically look at each other because they knew what was coming next. So I thought it was a great story in that regard. So
thank you. Yeah, the actress that I actually was able to get to play Officer Kell, she's named Alicia Joy Powell, and if you don't know her, she was a series regular on that Deborah Messing series. Not the one where she played the detective. How can I forget the name of that? It just suddenly slipped my mind. She plays the New York City detective. She played her nanny, her kid's nanny. And then she was also in the last season of Orange is the New Black. And I happened to meet her.
Okay,
at a
she looked
reading.
familiar to me, and I couldn't quite figure out where I've seen
Mysteries
her
of
before.
Laura, that was it. Mysteries of Laura was the series.
Who was she in the last season of Orange is the New Black?
She was a parole officer.
That's right. She was her parole officer. The lead character that had just gotten out of prison. She was her parole officer. That's where I knew her from. I couldn't figure out exactly where I knew her from. I knew she looked familiar, but I couldn't figure it out. But that's where I knew her from, is from Orange.
She's done a lot of stuff, and she's really, I mean, she and I met in this reading that we did together, and we just knew right away that we both liked each other, and we just knew we wanted to work together. So I was really lucky that she had the time and she was able to do it, because I thought she added a whole element to it that just wouldn't have been there if you didn't have just a really great actress in that role. And yeah, we played off each other. You're right. The chemistry between us is very natural.
Yeah, so, it feels like a real team of investigators that, like I said, come in. They have all the evidence that they want to present, and they know where they're leading to, but they're asking the questions of their potential suspect here, and he's answering the questions, but they already kind of know where the next question is leading. So I loved how it was like really layered in that regard. So I thought that was great. Like I said, in the chemistry, like you said, it was very on point, which it wouldn't have worked if it wasn't. So.
Yeah, and the other actor, Wesley Volsey, who played the young man who was arrested. He's also a good actor. Is a gentleman that I've known as well. Luckily, he was also free, and he just had the perfect sort of ability to play like this isn't a big deal. I shouldn't even be here.
Right.
And then to sort of descend into fear of actually maybe this is not,
Right. And like I said, and it worked really great for him as well, because just like you said, like I think he initially was like, well, I don't understand why I'm even being questioning. Like, what's the big deal? It was clearly suicide. But I think once he realized all this evidence that they were presenting and how the story easily could turn, is just like, well, yeah, I guess even if he didn't do it, I think he could kind of see like, oh, I think I might need a lawyer now, because things are really getting heated, and it looks like they may have enough information on me that whether I did this or not, I could potentially be charged for this murder. So,
and it wasn't even evidence of the crime.
No, it was just all circumstantial.
Casts doubt upon this person who you had no doubt of before, and it's all conjecture. Right. And I mean, I think it does mirror what happens quite often in the American justice system. I mean, pretty spot on is how things can be fabricated, blown out of proportion. One side of the story is told.
Yeah, and I've seen cases in the past where that's exactly how it's happened. One of and Jason, I've had this conversation before. One of my favorite documentary films is Murder on a Sunday Morning, which is very similar, where they basically there was an African American that shoots and kills this lady, and they basically give a brief description, and they go out and look for someone that matches that description, and they find one young black man, and they basically arrest him, and they end up getting him to basically confess. I mean, they supposedly they beat him as well, but they actually get him to confess to the crime that he didn't commit, and so it's like one of those situations where, and that was a real documentary case. So
and there's thousands, I mean, probably thousands and thousands of situations like that have taken place in this country. So it's so I didn't want to beat the audience over the head with the American justice system is racist, but it's just because also I can't help but write funny too. I mean, even when I write dramas, I kind of want to make people laugh.
Yeah,
too,
no,
to
and
kind of
like you said, it does have a
bring
lot of
'em in.
humor that with the two lead detectives playing off each
Yeah.
other. There's a couple times that I definitely laughed as well. It's a very serious investigation, but their responses, like, yeah, you couldn't help but to laugh sometimes because it was just like, you guys would be like, oh, well, really? Okay, yeah, we didn't, like it was really sarcastic, but it also made me chuckle quite a few times as well. So,
Yeah, I was lucky. I mean, I actually once we sat down and started like rehearsing, I must have given the actors and myself, of course, like 8 or 9 rewrites in the week leading up to the actual shoot, which they were not happy about. And in fact, Alicia, when I gave her, I think the 9th version of the script, was like, "Okay, Al, you have to stop now. You have to stop giving me new scripts." I'm like, "Okay, okay." It's just tweaks here and there, and
oh
like
yeah, absolutely.
things, where it's like that element didn't work as well because this didn't happen. I'm like, well, what if I said this instead, and it like just makes everything click into place. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Getting started.
Jason,
I like
stop
the way.
interrupting, will you?
I
Please,
know.
Jesus, Jesus,
I
man.
just like listening. I just like listening.
I see that.
Yeah. I also wanted to say I like the way the lighting was done a lot because it
Oh
was
yeah,
really subtle, but I've never been in any interrogation rooms personally, but I have a
right.
feeling they're not really that dark. But it
Mm-hmm.
worked for
Mm.
this story. Like it needed to be that gloomy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that combined with the ending almost gave it. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but that combined with the ending, which I'm not going to say, it gave me just a tiny bit of like a Twilight Zone vibe. I don't know if you were
Mm.
going for that at all, but just kind of that kind of a purgatory feeling to me.
I like the way you described that because none of that was intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Because the DP on that, the director of photography, is named Terrence Burke. Great guy, really good DP, and he brought his own lighting equipment, and we could have really lit the room up if we wanted, but it wasn't a plain interrogation room. I mean, it looked like more of a, not a classroom per se, but it was actually a
Right.
rehearsal room,
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
and there were like some cabinets over here, and there was some thing over there, and we can only shoot from certain angles. So he was like, "I'm just gonna." It was like Rocky and Adrian's first date at the ice skating rink. They couldn't get, they couldn't afford another location. They wanted to do it at a restaurant, but
Right.
they knew somebody who had an ice skating rink who let them use it for hardly any money. So that like genius was born out of absolute necessity. So I'm not saying this was
Mm-hmm.
genius, but I'm saying that mood that you're getting was unintentional in the conception, but actually in the execution. I think Terrence knew that it would add that kind of element. And Casey and I collaborated on, obviously we had to get your pickup shots, your over the shoulder and your this and that, but I was like, I really want a shot from above to start and to end, that
Mm-hmm.
like the God shot,
Right.
from
Yeah.
right over
Yeah.
the table. So
Yeah.
Terrence was on a ladder, with the camera like that. So, so that was that. But yeah, no, I actually heard from a few people that they really loved the lighting, and at first I'm like, is it too dark? But I guess not. I guess it wasn't.
No, I think it
Yeah.
works well as well. I enjoyed it. Like I said, it felt like a real interrogation, and I felt like,
Mm,
and like Jason's point, I guess in a real interrogation room, it's going to be a little bit more lit up than that, but I liked that it was
yeah.
darker. You know what I mean? Because it felt
Mm-hmm.
really serious and kind of surreal in there. You could feel
Mm-hmm.
the tension, between the two
Mm,
different groups. You know what I mean? Between the interrogators and the interrogatee. You know what I mean? You could feel that
yeah.
tension because of the darkness. I think it just worked. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm not even going to try to say interrogatee. That's a hard. I don't know how you get over that one.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a word, Kier. I'm not sure if
I
that's a word,
made
but
that up, but you know what
It
I
is
mean.
now. It is now,
yeah,
America.
It's a real
Get
word
used
today.
to it.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
But
applying
yeah,
for
I
the
think,
job of interrogatee.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, there's just the God's eye view shot, the gloomy lighting, the kind of circular nature to the narrative. It definitely gave me a
Yeah.
Twilight Zone vibe, and even if it wasn't intentional, that's even better almost. It
Yeah.
just worked,
Yeah.
So
good friend of mine was like, he's from South Carolina. He's like, Al, I really enjoyed the Ouroboros ending that you came up with. I'm like, oh, thank you very much. And then I went and looked up Ouroboros,
Absolutely.
which maybe some of your listeners will be doing that.
Yeah, let me, like, what does that mean?
The hell is that?
What?
Yeah.
How long was how long did the entire process from beginning to end take until you finish the entire project itself?
Boy, you know, I have a very horrible conception of time, but I know that from when I first presented it to Casey to read, and he said he wanted to do it. Then it like took a little while to like figure all out, and I think from beginning to end, like when it was actually finally edited, the score was done, everything was completed. The credit song was completely recorded. I think that because that was an original song too. I think it was probably 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think it took like a couple of months, 2 or 3, to get everything arranged for the actual filming, and then I think it took another 3 or 4 months because Casey actually works with a small production company, and that's why he was able to actually get it edited and sound engineered and all that for me. I just would send money.
Got it.
Yeah, so it didn't take that long, but if I had to do any of that myself, I probably wouldn't have gotten. But we
wouldn't be talking right now.
Exactly.
So was it shot? So was it shot then, like last year, like during COVID, or was it prior to that, or
prior to COVID? Yeah,
Got
the year
it.
before that. That was shot in 2019, I believe.
Got it.
In like the winter of 2019,
Got
and
it.
then I finally started submitting it to festivals like in the late summer of 2019.
Got it.
And it actually got an award of excellence from IndieFest, which was nice. IndieFest LA, which was great. So, yeah, but I haven't really put it out there that much because I'm sure you guys know this already. A lot of the bigger festivals want to be the world premiere, so
Right.
you really can't really put it out there if it wants to be the world premiere. And that ship has sailed.
Right.
I mean, like anybody can watch it anywhere they want now. It's like, go ahead. Now it's on Flickfair.
Right.
I don't really think it's on any place else except my Vimeo page. So,
Right.
Flickfair away, everybody.
Right. Everybody check it out.
It's
Yeah.
worth
No.
it.
Absolutely.
You will get my film and about 50 other brilliant films. Watch them.
Yeah.
America.
Like I said, we always plug Flickfair because we work with them, but it
Yeah.
really is a good platform because there's not a whole lot of festivals that cater more to short films. That
Mhm.
also will have the film streaming on their site as well. So they're one of the few
Yeah.
that actually do that,
And I
where
also-
anybody could go and check out the entire film.
Yeah,
which makes
and
it
I think
really
it's like
cool.
a very small fee to watch
Yeah.
all the films. I mean,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
that's actually a great opportunity. You get to see, it's funny because once I started writing films, I started watching shorts just to get an indication what they were like. There's some really brilliant ones out there,
Yeah.
and some really scary ones. The horror shorts, man, they're like
Yeah.
horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't like horror movies, so I was like, I
Yeah.
don't want to watch.
Yeah, I'm thinking because we like to mix it up a little bit. We've been doing
Yeah.
a lot of documentary ones, but then we
Yeah.
wanted to get an actual film, and I think I'm leaning towards doing a
Narrative.
horror one next. So yeah, but no, I think that's going to be next on the docket. And Jason's a huge horror guy, so yeah. So I think that's the next one we're going to be looking at.
Yeah.
So.
Big time.
Nice.
But it's
What
it's
kind of
hard
horror
because
you
they
like?
have
You
so
like
many
this-
films on there, and I got to kind of watch them all before we can kind of select one, and so it gets really really complicated because because they're short. I can watch like 10, 15 of them in a couple hours, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what was that one again? What was that one that I watched earlier? Like I don't remember, so I have to go
Gotta
back
keep
and rewatch
notes.
it. Yeah.
Old-fashioned
so-
notes.
Yeah, but that's great.
Genius.
So, speaking of COVID, what's it like out there for an actor right now?
Well, I mean,
Like,
as you can
it's gotta be-
imagine, for quite some
Yeah.
time, it was it was nothing. It was like everything
Yeah.
else in the country. It was like
Yeah.
just sitting around being groovy.
Right.
And but I'll be honest, I've been very lucky. I've been able to spend a lot more time with my soon-to-be 5-year-old son and my wife, and we've actually fared very well, thank God, during COVID. I mean, as far as everybody being healthy, and having work and all that stuff, which has been great, and being able to just be, in our bubble with my wife's parents, and it's really been great. And truthfully, now that we're on hopefully the back end of this
Right.
mess, um, things have really been picking up for me in a very, very good way. I actually just finished shooting. I'm a series regular in a new series called Welcome to Hope. I'm allowed to plug stuff, right? I can
Yeah,
plug
absolutely.
stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, hell yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Welcome to Hope, which is going to be premiering on the streaming platform PureFlix, which is like a Christian-friendly streaming platform. Don't tell them I'm Jewish. Uh, but I play. I'm a series regular on that, which would just wrap the first season. Actually, it's 9 episodes, and the last episode of the series is going to be a Christmas film. So that's kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I've also just booked some really, really decent voiceover work, which I'm very happy about. And this, just as COVID started to hit, I had gotten cast as the lead in a feature that was going to film North Carolina, Utah, Paraguay. It was like a big
Oh,
post-World War II epic kind of thing
right.
that had like an actual pretty good budget behind it and some names, some people you've heard of. I'm
Right.
not really allowed to talk about it that much, but that got put on hold, and I was like, well, there goes that. Because I mean,
Yeah.
how's that gonna? And then the director got in touch with me not too long ago. It says we're still on. We're going to start
Oh.
filming, and we're going to start filming next week. So
Oh, wow.
things are really, happening. Yeah, he turns out he's the director and the producer
Got it.
and the writer. So when you've got total
Yeah,
control,
you can do whatever he's in, and you got the coin, you can
as
make
long
it
as you can
happen.
get the money, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he may not have gotten as much money as he was hoping to get, but he's got enough to make a film. And he's a good director. He's made a couple of other pretty solid, worthwhile things with some gravitas, if I can use that
Right.
word, which is overused.
Are the travel plans still in effect to travel to like Paraguay and that kind of stuff then, or is
No,
he gonna keep it more?
international anymore, but we are going to go. We're going to travel though. We're going to be in America, but we are
Got it.
traveling to certain different parts of America to shoot it. And it's
Cool.
Cool.
and hopefully, I mean, if I'm ever on this platform again for something else, I could talk about that then.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Sure.
You
That'd be
shoot us
nice.
over the finished product. Yeah, we got no
We'll
problem
see.
bringing you back on.
Well, hell yeah, man. I will.
With that said, are you planning on doing any other films yourself in terms of that you're going to write and produce? Is that still on the docket or?
Yeah. Well, actually, I've been writing a lot, and it's sort of been it's been interesting. I'm shifting, America. I'm shifting. Okay, I can't sit still for that long. That's why I make movies. I'm making. I've been writing a lot, and I've written some shorts that I think are really solid and would be fun to make. But I've also written a few feature screenplays, and an actor that I used to work with, I did this series called Guilt. It's called The Grind. It's not the one you're thinking of. It's a different one. It's on Amazon. The pilot's on Amazon. You can watch it. And it's called The Grind. I play an FBI agent, and the guy who played this guy who we arrested, who was my informant, he and I have stayed in touch, and he has started his own production company.
Okay.
And he and I've stayed in touch, and he's read my writing and he likes it. And he actually recently asked me to write a screenplay based on an idea he had, because he's too busy to sit down and write down stuff. So I actually did all the writing, and he and I would collaborate. And we're actually having our first reading of it tonight via Zoom. And and he wants to start, because he says he's just making movies. He just made a horror movie out in Wisconsin. He's making a drama here in Brooklyn called Canarsie, and he wants to make this after that. So things are kind of like motoring. So I've been keeping real busy. And there's this other one that I wrote a while back that just, it's been, I don't know if you guys write, but sometimes when you're a writer, you write something and you forget about it. But there's just been one that's just been bugging me, and I keep going back to it, and I just keep loving it. And it's a story of an African American woman who works as a prison therapist. She works with prisoners, and part of her job is to testify at their parole hearings about whether she thinks they deserve a second shot,
Got it.
shot of parole. And one of the patients that she's working with is an ex-Nazi. He's an ex-neo-Nazi, white supremacist. And she actually believes he does deserve a second chance because of his upbringing and who he's become and how he's turned around. But her brother, who was an activist in the Black Lives Matter movement, something happens to him. And when she's about to turn around and testify at this guy's thing, she has to decide whether she believes this guy enough to set him free
Right.
or not.
Got
And
it.
she's got that, that struggle. And it's kind of been bothering me, and I call him bitch.
Well, it sounds pretty interesting for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds very like one of those good little morality, or based on your own personal experience kind of thing. So now I can definitely
Right.
see that one. Yeah. So I think that sounds.
What would you do?
Yeah. What would
Choose
you
your
do?
own adventure.
Right. Yeah. No, sounds really. Yeah, sounds interesting for sure. So yeah, whenever you get that going, by all means, send it our way. We'll definitely
We'll see.
we'll check it
see.
out. Yeah, for sure. Well, anything else that you wanted to add before we get ready to let you go here?
I apparently don't.
Not a problem.
I just whoever's watching this, I just hope you're all safe and healthy, and I hope that we all get vaccinated soon and that we can return to life as we know it. And I just want to thank the both of you for this opportunity.
Oh, absolutely.
This is my first interview as a filmmaker, so thank you for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we like I said, and believe me, I peruse their selections. I browse through tons of films before I actually make a selection. So before I make a selection, because we can only do these because we do other films as well, like more mainstream films also. But so I have to look through at least 5-10 of these before I find one that I'm like, oh, that's really, really good. I really like this one. And that was how we came up with yours. I was like, I want to find one that's more actor driven in this one. And yours was the best one that I saw of all the ones that I had watched over the last week. So, and that's why we ended up choosing yours. So
it's not a contest.
We really enjoyed it.
Not a contest.
And I'm not saying,
Everyone's
like
great.
I said, there's other good ones as well. We may go back to some of those other ones, but I definitely enjoyed yours quite a bit. And I was like, ooh, I gotta talk to the people that made this one. I really, really enjoyed the dialogue. So
merci beaucoup, Kier.
No, not a problem. Not a problem. No problem at all. Well, great.
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, absolutely.
Try not to interrupt so much, okay, Jason? Maybe you should just try sitting back and listening sometimes.
I did. I see.
Something.
We're on the way out here, but I did have one more question, if you don't mind.
I'm not wearing a watch, so go ahead.
I did have one question. So you mentioned like when you were growing up, going to the movies with your grandfather.
Yes.
What was one of the first performances that you saw that made you say that's what I want to do when you were growing up or older or whenever?
What a fantastic question. Well, I will say this. One of the actors that I grew up absolutely, well, I guess it would be Pacino in Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah.
Because, I was young Pacino, before he started, and he was like, I don't know. He was just so great. And if anyone hasn't seen Dog Day Afternoon, I highly recommend it. And to me, it's that era of filmmaking that made the biggest impact on me as an artist, I think. And it's just, people they're trying to emulate that now, that gritty 70s, sort of like what seemingly like off the cuff, on the fly movie making, like those scenes, those scenes when he's outside arguing with Charles Durning. And he's like, they're trying to kill me. They want to kill me. And he's like, get back. And they're going crazy. And it's just like, man, this movie's just so alive,
Yeah.
You don't see everything, especially like, I guess in the 90s and then like the 2000s, everything got so controlled, in the name of artistry that it kind of lost that, like, just that explosiveness, So I think that's what that kind of explosive feeling from a film had, early effects on me. That, and believe it or not, Laurence Olivier, one of my, you know, one of my Pacino and Olivier, like the same person, really. You know, like his performance in I don't know if you remember Frank Langella's Dracula. He played Van Helsing, and also his performance in Marathon Man when he
Oh
played
yeah.
the Weisse Angela, the Weisse Angela,
Yeah.
and
Is it safe?
is it safe? Yeah. And then the Hoffman. Yes,
Yeah.
it's very safe.
Yeah.
It's safe. It's very safe.
Yeah.
Is it safe? No, it's not safe. It's very dangerous.
Well,
Yeah. So I guess
those are some good inspiration, especially Dog Day Afternoon, because that's almost kind of like a close quarter setting, a lot of dialogue and
Oh
great,
yeah.
phenomenal acting. So I could see some of that inspiration in your film as well, you know, because
Thanks.
it's pretty
Yeah.
much all set kind of in that one setting, you know what I mean, for the most part. So yeah, no, great.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote, you know, Guilt. It's funny because Guilt. I finally decided to write because, you know, as an actor, you're like, I should write a film for me, but I've been writing these big, long, like feature-length screenplays, and I'm like, I'm not going to get this produced. Who am I kidding? So finally, one day, after 6 months on Wellbutrin, I was like, I'm going to write something for me, and I sat down and I wrote this small, self-contained thing that I knew that I could actually make,
Yeah.
instead of like trying to make Spartacus, my first time out, it's trying to make
No,
this.
it's hard, and like just the people that
Yeah.
we've interviewed that have made like the feature length films and like the troubles they've had, and a lot of them like it took like 3-4 years to get this just because of finances. You know what I mean? We had to continue to save money and that kind of stuff. So yeah, you good over there?
Hear me? I lost audio.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
no.
Well, we're getting ready to wrap it up anyway, so it's all right.
Wrap this up. Let's
Right.
wrap it up.
Okay. All right. I got it back. Sorry.
All right, good. But yeah, like I said, I just know that that's always the hardest part for any type of writer or filmmaker is just getting it done and all the money and the finances. I think that's the biggest hurdle and challenge that everybody that we talk to, they're just like, you just got to have the money. It's tough.
Well,
you know?
if I can give any advice to any young filmmakers who might be watching this, and even though I'm still a young filmmaker, all you need is a completely out of whack sense of self-worth, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You have to just know that what you're doing is flipping great, and then be like, give me money because I'm amazing, and that's the only way you're going to make it in this industry.
Confidence.
Believe in yourself.
Absolutely. Well, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
All right.
Well, we're going to wrap this up. We thank everybody for watching. As always, if you like the channel, you like, subscribe. Make sure you go check out Guilt out on Flickfair and give them a big shout out on that as well. And we'll be back again with another show. Thank you for watching and hope you all have a great day. Bye.
Bye. Am I still on camera?